Hey everyone and welcome, let's cut the small talk and dive straight in. It often feels like industrial giants are all the same: smoky steel mills, endless car factories, the usual boring suspects. But today? We're spilling the tea on a total underdog titan you've probably never given a second thought to: China's coal chemical industry. Think mind-blowing scale, next-level strategic flexes, and a high-stakes green blow-up that's basically industrial daredevilry. Buckle up, because this isn't your grandma's factory tour. We're talking coal that turns into plastic, energy insurance policies, and a pivot to green that's never been done this big. Let's get into it.
When we talk about industrial giants, a few things probably come to mind, right? Maybe massive steel mills or sprawling car factories. But today, we're diving into a titan you might not know as well: China's coal chemical industry. And trust me, it's a fascinating story of just mind-boggling scale, some serious strategic ambition, and now a really high-stakes gamble to pivot from black coal to a green future.
Okay, let's just get right to the headline here. When it comes to the business of turning coal into valuable chemicals, China isn't just a player on the world stage, it is, without a doubt, the undisputed global leader. The sheer size of this operation is kind of hard to wrap your head around, but don't worry, we're going to break it all down.
So, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll establish just how dominant this industry is. Then we'll get into the weeds with the actual numbers, and they are staggering. We'll find out which part is the real commercial champion, why another part acts as a crucial strategic safeguard, and finally, we'll look at the massive green pivot that's planned for the future.
So you might be wondering, how does a country even get to this level of dominance in an industry? Well, I can tell you this did not happen by accident. Nope, this was the result of a very deliberate, very strategic push, with all this growth systematically built out during the recent 14th five-year plan.
And by the end of this year, it's official. The industry's production capacity is top of the pops, world-leading. But this is about more than just making a lot of stuff. It's really the foundation of a core strategic asset for the country, giving it incredible control over some really key industrial supply chains.
Okay, world-leading is a big claim. It sounds impressive, but what does that actually look like? Let's put some real, hard numbers behind that title so we can truly grasp the scale we're talking about here.
At its core, the industry is really built on four main pillars. You've got coal to oil, coal to gas, coal to olefins, and coal to glycol. And each one of these represents a just massive stream of industrial production. Let's take a peek at the numbers for each.
First up, coal to oil. The annual capacity is over 8 million tons. Think about that for a second. That is an enormous amount of liquid fuel, and it's all produced directly from coal, without needing a single traditional oil well.
Then there's coal to gas. We're talking 7.5 billion cubic meters of synthetic natural gas every single year, all of it created from the nation's most abundant fossil fuel. It's pretty incredible.
Next, we have coal to olefins, with a capacity of over 13 million tons a year. Now remember this one, because this number is absolutely crucial. As we're about to see, this product right here is the commercial star of the entire show.
And finally, rounding things out, we have coal to glycol, clocking in at over 11 million tons. So you put all these numbers together, and you get a crystal clear picture of the industrial might we are discussing. By any measure, this thing is a giant.
So you hear all those massive numbers, and you're probably thinking every part of this industry must be a commercial powerhouse, just printing money, right? Well, that's not exactly the case. One of these pillars really stands head and shoulders above the rest for its pure economic chops. Let's talk about olefins.
So what in the world are olefins? Well, to put it simply, they are the absolute basic building blocks for most plastics. From your water bottles and food packaging to parts in your car. And for the longest time, the only way to get them was from crude oil. This process, though, gets them from coal.
And this right here shows you the key difference. The global standard is making plastics from oil and gas, but here's the kicker. Coal to olefins is the only part of this whole industry that can truly compete on price. And the reason's pretty simple. Under the country's current coal pricing system, it can actually be cheaper for the top producers to make these plastic building blocks from their own domestic coal than from volatile, imported oil. So the really crucial point here is that this isn't about replacing the oil-based industry altogether. That's not the goal. Instead, you should think of it as a powerful and super important supplement. It gives the domestic market a huge homegrown source for all the stuff you need to make plastic, and it's not dependent on oil imports. Okay, so if olefins are the commercial engine, the one making the money, what about those other big products like coal to oil and coal to gas? Well, their story is completely different. It's not about profit. It's all about national security.
These processes are officially called a strategic safeguard. You can basically think of them as a national insurance policy. They're not meant to compete on the open market every day. Instead, they exist as a kind of strategic backup, a demonstration to make sure the country has access to liquid fuels and gas no matter what happens on the global energy stage. So the goal right now isn't to build more. It's to optimize, make the tech better, more efficient, and cheaper to run, just in case it's ever needed at full scale.
And that brings us to the future. I mean, with this colossal industry built on a foundation of coal, the biggest question now is, can it actually adapt to a world that's screaming for decarbonization? Well, the next phase, which is all laid out in the 15th five-year plan, is all about that very transformation.
The strategy for what comes next is basically threefold. First, they want to move high-end. That means making more specialized, higher-value products. Second, they want to become more diversified, expanding the range of chemicals they produce. And third, and this is the biggest challenge of all, they want to pivot to low-carbon development. And let's be clear, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. This is a mandate to accelerate the upgrade. You can really feel the urgency here. Transform this giant from just a simple bulk producer into a sophisticated and, just as importantly, a cleaner chemical powerhouse.
So how on earth do you make an industry that's built on coal low carbon? Well, the plan really hinges on three huge technological shifts. First, integrating with massive renewable energy sources, or green electricity. Second, coupling production with green hydrogen, which is made from renewables. And finally, relying heavily on carbon capture, utilization, and storage, or CCUS, to suck up the emissions that are left. Each one of these is a monumental task on its own. Doing all three at this kind of scale, that is unprecedented.
And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? China has built the world's largest coal chemical industry. It's a marvel of industrial scale and strategic planning, but now it's embarking on this incredibly ambitious plan to graft green technology onto its black coal foundation. So, the final thought is this. Can this industrial colossus really pivot and lead a low-carbon revolution? Or will its very foundations prove just too carbon-heavy to change? The next 5 years are going to start telling that story.